When you think of beach volleyball, you think of the Mecca, Southern California, and the Manhattan Beach Pier and the Manhattan Beach Open. The AVP Tour has arrived in 2022. We're here on Stadium Court, and it's time for the men to take over center court. Dane Blanton alongside my partner, and wow. What a day. Matt Prosser here, Dane Blanton. We used to be partners on this tour, and we just dreamed about playing here, and that's what these players are doing as well. 3 versus 30 today, so these first round are kind of lopsided, Matt.
Well, for Paul Lotman and Miles Partain, this is a little bit of foreign territory for them. They're champions of the Atlanta Gold Series, winning their first titles, and now they got to play as the 3 seed here in Manhattan Beach on a Friday morning, and it's going to be a great match against a qualifier team that made their way in yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday we saw, or earlier today, we saw Julia Scholes and Gina Durango. They won in Atlanta, and now we get a good look at Miles Partain and Paul Lotman. Let's head down to center court to Mark Sherman for the introductions.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gosh, you look good in there. Yeah, you do. My name's Mark. Welcome to the Manhattan Beach Open. It's here, everybody. The one, the big one on the south side of the Manhattan Beach Open Pier. What a weekend it's going to be. And it is an absolutely gorgeous morning, about 74 beautiful degrees. And it's time to meet the gentlemen coming out on Stadium Court. The guys are out here for the first time in their quest to get their name on the Manhattan Beach Pier. So let's meet them, shall we? Let's meet this first team who had to come through a very, very tough qualifier here in Manhattan Beach all day long yesterday. And this first guy out of Thousand Oaks, California, played his college ball at UC Santa Barbara and is now in to the main draw for the very first time in his career. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Jonah Seif. And his partner, this is his second Manhattan Beach main draw, his third AVP main draw. And I remember your first one, Rick, because you stayed on my couch when you qualified for Hermosa with Mikey Stewart in 2017. And now you're here in Manhattan. Welcome back, buddy. I talked to you before your last match yesterday. You said these are guys we got to beat, and you did it. You beat them, ladies and gentlemen, out of the University of Hawaii. Let me hear it for Rick Cervantes. And their opponents, oh, look who we've got here. They have been fantastic all year long, making all these semifinals. Couldn't quite get to that final until they did. And then they were there, they took control, they got the job done, and now they are AVP champions and Gold Series champions nonetheless. This first guy, he's a first-team All-American MPSF Player of the Year, just 20 years old, out of UCLA, and he is oh so fun to watch. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Miles Partain. And his partner at a Long Beach State University, was a National Player of the Year in his indoor days, represented the USA in the Olympic Games, played internationally for a while, and then came to the beach, and now he is an AVP champion. Ladies and gentlemen, let me hear it for Mr. Paul Lotman. These guys are good.
All set to go. Number 3, Paul Lotman and Miles Partain going up against Rick Cervantes and Jonah Seif, and they are the 30th seed. Jonah Seif, I apologize. We got to get that pronunciation right for sure. Jonah Seif will be patrolling up at the net, and Rick Cervantes playing defense. We're all set to go. There's Miles Partain and Paul Lotman on the left-hand side. That's Partain. He's just 20 years of age, and wow, is this kid going to be something special.
Just right out of the gates, gets the first dig opportunity of the match, and then turns it for a point. The left-handed southpaw setter at UCLA then hammers that ball off the block and out of bounds.
Miles Partain out of Pacific Palisades. Here comes Seif. that ball just out of bounds, and that's one thing you're going to have to look out for is consistency, keeping the ball in the court. If you're the 30th seed and you're going up against the number 3 seed, you have to be consistent, because that number 3 seed is not going to give you many opportunities.
No, they're not going to give you many at all, and it's a true test. I mean, for Seif and Cervantes, they played 4 matches yesterday in the qualifier, and right now they got to come back from that at 9:45 local time, a quick turnaround, and you're right back to action playing against the 3 seed, and you got to play some clean volleyball, but you're working through some physical issues after 4 matches here in Manhattan Beach, and obviously the magnitude of playing on stadium court here in Manhattan Beach Open.
Good serve by Cervantes, and look at that dig, but they cannot control it right there. If I'm Cervantes and Seif, I'm rolling the dice from the beginning.
They have
bombing
to.
serves.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not playing conservative at all.
They got nothing to lose, the 30th seed, right? You put in a ton of work yesterday, like we just talked about in the qualifier. Come out, rip your serves, try to get Partain and Lotman out of system. But at the same time, doesn't matter who you serve, really. Just be aggressive from the inline and see if it can work to your advantage.
Nice little roll shot over the top of the block. So nice to see new winners, as we did with Lotman and Partain 2 weeks ago in Atlanta, winning the first Gold Series event, and they really kind of dominated and played at a high level that entire weekend. But they have been consistent. It's no surprise that they finally got over the hump. They were knocking on the door for some time.
It was just a matter of time. You said it, Dan, and multiple third-place finishes. They had lost in the semifinals, I believe, 4 or 5 times before they finally made it to a final back in Fort Lauderdale. Then another opportunity in Atlanta, and they got the job done.
Yeah, you're right. 5 semifinals in a row, going back to last year on the AVP tour, and then finally, it's interesting. You go from the semis, you win 3rd place, tie for 3rd, and you think that next click up is going to be, okay, you make it to a final and you get 2nd place. But when they made it to that final, they made sure they got over the hump.
A whole nother level. You know it well, Dane, as you won plenty matches and a couple tournament victories to your resume on the AVP tour. But it's another world when you make it to the championship final. You know that there's no more matches to play. You got to leave it all out there on the court. And you never know if you're going to get another opportunity. Fortunately for Lotman and Partain, they've been consistent, and they were able to bounce back and finally get that win in Atlanta.
(5-3) here early in set number 1. Lotman and Partain leading, Cervantes and Seif. Oh, wow. How about that? Seif with a cross court. Really quick arm.
Very quick arm. So this is going to be a pretty fun team to watch. Rick Cervantes, a former libero at the University of Hawaii, grew up in Santa Barbara, and his partner, Jonas Seif, he's about 6'8", very long. Obviously a very quick arm. He also played college volleyball at UC Santa Barbara, so 2 very experienced players.
Oh, on the outside of the line, Seif from the center of the court kind of goes cross-body and completely fools Partain.
And that's what we were just saying, Dane. Live and die by your serve. Just go back, be free, go up, give yourself a good toss, be aggressive, see if you get a couple of breaks, and there's 1 ace for them right out of the gates. And I think they're okay with that service error. They got a point on the play before. You can go back, you can go even ace and error. It's just when those errors start to mount up, you want to kind of dial it back and keep the ball in play.
Miles Partain, the southpaw, out of the center of the court, a little jump float serve over to Cervantes. Beautiful set by Seif, and Partain has that one up in the air. You got to be careful. Lotman stays out of the video boards there. And they're going to have an opportunity to score it, and there's Partain. So what a rally right there. Lotman and Partain working overtime.
Yeah, Partain with back-to-back digs. Lotman putting in a little extra running effort right there, and they get that point in transition.
Well, I was going to say it, and now it is for real. This is the Wilson rally of the day. Saving that. The Sky Vodka rally of the day here. Miles Partain and Paul Lotman stepping up right there and making it happen.
What an effort from both sides. Rick Cervantes with 4 digs in that rally, finally getting his partner that set. Goes over on 2, perhaps a touch on the block, kind of hard to tell from our angle, but a very hard-fought point. Both teams working early and often at a high level in this match state.
Yeah, you know, in that Sky Vodka rally of the day, some of those long rallies can be the turning point for each team. And usually the team that wins a rally like that, they're not tired, they feel good about themselves. And you lose a long rally like that, sometimes it takes a little bit of the wind out of your sails.
Certainly, psychologically, it's definitely a bit of a letdown. It's like you tried your best, you could do everything possible to try to score the point. You ultimately don't, the other team takes it, and you got to get right back to it on the next whistle.
Here's Rick Cervantes with a short serve. He opts to go to Lotman, and that's the danger of going to Lotman. The quick explosion by Miles Partain. And let's get into a little bit about, Matt, the sophistication of the offenses nowadays on the beach. It's a lot faster than when we were out there.
When you and I played together, it was pretty straightforward. Just set up and down and step close to the ball and take a crack at it or place it nicely in the corner. But when you have the dynamic explosiveness of these athletes have now, and the diversity of their offenses really opens up a lot of plays, especially when you're watching Miles Partain and a lot of these other teams out here on the AVP Tour.
It's like the creativity and the evolution. You as a blocker used to be able to stand there and the ball kind of go up and down right in front of you. Now you have to deal with the option onto. You sometimes have to fully commit to that, or you have to give up the option and get to your hitter because the hitter is moving forward, back, going around.
Yeah, it's a bit of a gamble, right? You know you have to give something up because you can't stop everything, right? So in the situation for playing against a guy like Miles Partain, he does a lot of jump setting, and he's left-handed. So if you do serve Lotman, you got to honor his option play because he's going to attack. But then if you commit to it and he does the jump set out to the antenna, Paul Lotman, a former Olympian outside hitter, is going to have no block in front of him and most likely put it away for the point.
So fun to see the evolution of the game offensively, and it's gotten a lot more sophisticated. Here's a look at Partain. Jump float from the right corner. Oh, Seif tries a jump set, and that gives you a little indication of how difficult it is to try to sell the hit and the option and then actually go to set it.
Well, especially as a 6'8" hitter like Jonas Seif is, really overloading Paul Lotman's block. Unfortunately, the double contact called on that set.
Oh, and another double contact. Remember, double contact is a judgment call by the head referee. If that ball is determined to be double contacted, not at the same time, and there's too much spin on it, a lot of times you get whistled for it, and it can cost you.
Yeah, and you said it early. I mean, it is a judgment call, but typically the rule is if that ball comes out with more than one spin of rotation, as those last 2 sets did from Jonas Seif, they're going to get called for a double contact, right? And it's one of those risks of being a hand setter. Really kind of separates the great setters from just sort of the medium ones, is how good they can set and how consistently they can hand set over their head.
And I think overall, men and women nowadays, there's way more hand setters than there were.
Couldn't agree more.
And they're so good at it. But what you gain as a hand setter is accuracy.
Exactly.
A lot more accuracy than bump setting usually. And but it's got to come out clean.
You're right. A lot more accuracy with the handset. We saw Phil Dalhouser. He was one of the very early blockers that exclusively handset pretty much everything, right? He was the best setter in the world and arguably still is one of the best setters in the world. But now, you said it, Dane, everybody is handsetting. And the risk is, if you get called for a double or a lift, you're going to give up a couple of points. Paul Lotman serves a great jump serve ace right there. But, you know, accuracy is more important sometimes than giving up those double contacts.
So we will take the technical timeout at 13-8. We mentioned Partain and Lotman winning the first Gold Series event. It took place 2 weekends ago in Atlanta. Let's take a look at the highlights.
Atlanta, a gorgeous place to hold a volleyball tournament. Here we are in set number 1 in the men's final. Brunner and Schulk versus Lotman and Partain. I'm speechless, Dane. Rolling that up for the lefty. And a deep middle. You say this kid's the future. Still set point for the #1 seed. Set number 1 goes to Brunner and Schulk for the set. And just enough on it. The finesse in set 2 goes to Miles Partain and Paul Lotman. Match point for Lotman and Partain. A 20-year-old and an Olympian. They're going to give Lotman and Partain the shot. Your Atlanta champions, Paul Lotman and Miles Partain.
You know what was so surprising? It was at the end, the 20-year-old Miles Partain. It looked like it was his 20th win, you know, in terms of his celebration.
Yeah.
He's very low-key, and I think the truth of the matter is this is going to be that was the first victory
of many.
That's going to be many.
Certainly.
Absolutely.
And I had a chance to talk to their coach, Mike Plachek, before this match. And we were talking about Miles Partain and how calm he was after getting that first career victory. And their coach was almost like, well, do you want to keep playing or do you want to celebrate? Like, what do you want to do here? You just won an AVP title at 20 years old. And you saw it, very calm and collective, as he is almost all the time.
Yeah.
Very cool cat on the court. Obviously, very workmanlike, very blue collar, gets out there, gets the job done. A very high-level competitor as well.
And he's in his post-game interview, sounded mature beyond his years and very focused, and just can't wait to see what he does. And he is the future of USA Volleyball. I think he can pick his path. He can play indoor. He can play on the beach. He's going to be able to have opportunities to play professionally overseas. He's set himself up to basically go any direction that he wants to.
And let's not forget, he's only going into his, I believe, his junior year at UCLA, where he's the setter, the starting setter for their indoor men's team. But absolutely right, Miles Partain, definitely a very, very bright future for him moving forward. He's going to have some decisions to make, definitely. Get that degree, right? And then pursue some professional volleyball. Olympics, whether it's Paris or Los Angeles, is going to be definitely on the radar for Miles Partain.
Partain laying it out right there. Not able to get it up in the air, and it's 14-11. Lotman and Partain have been in control from the start. To add on and finish up with Miles Partain, also the MPSF Player of the Year at UCLA. Just really taking care of business. Lotman trying for the touch, and he uses Seif right there. Seif needs to maybe work on his game of, hey, I'm not guilty.
Perhaps a little bit of that, no, I didn't touch it. It's one of those good characteristics the blockers have to pick up on. But, you know,
he gave himself up
a little bit, yeah. I mean, it's a fine line of no touch or be the good sportsman, and he did call that touch and confirm that he did touch it.
That's true. You always got to like the sportsmanship when you get that call. Usually you're not going to get that, though, at match point.
Right.
And
but you know what? I want to take that point back to Paul Lotman's attack and his ability to see the hands there to attack that ball high off the fingertips and out of bounds. Paul Lotman is an indoor Olympian for the USA national team back in 2016. Was an All-American at Long Beach State. Little known fact was he was a walk-on player at Long Beach State, recruited out of Los Alamitos High School. Really put the work in, and he's been playing on the beach now for a few years, and has continued to get better and better, based obviously by getting that victory a few weeks ago.
Next level data powered by Connexon. Notice all the players have a Connexon, what would you call it, a fob?
Fobs, data sensor.
Data sensor, yeah, on the back of their shorts. It's tracking distance traveled, how many jumps, what the height of those jumps are. And it's really, you know, another level of analytics to not only track from a spectator's point of view, but also for the players in a training aid to see how strong they are as the match goes on.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see the advancements in data technology here on Stadium Court. There's sensors located around the stadium that track the data input from each player's movements, like you said, height of jumps, how many times they've jumped, and we're able to bring that to you, the viewer, and really take those analytics to another level, as there is a glance at that sensor on the back of Jonah Seif's shorts.
Here's Cervantes, he goes down the line to Partain, tight set, and Partain, that's his favorite shot, I think. Miles Partain loves to crank that angle as sharp as possible.
I bet if you asked Miles, it'd be hard for him to tell you what his one favorite shot is, because he has so many, right? But that's a great swing. The lefty is so hard to block, right? It's just a different angle of attack. Jonah Seif probably not that used to going up against a left-handed hitter, because there just aren't that many of them. Ed Ratledge, Miles Partain, maybe a few others here and there, but Miles Partain can attack at such a velocity and such directional angles. It makes it very challenging to stop.
And that ball did not need to be hit that sharp. He had the entire left side of the court, but Miles Partain showing his stuff there.
He probably likes to hit with no blocker up in front of him, as he did on this one as well.
Look at the angle he takes from the middle of the court.
And another thing about this team of Lotman, Partain that I was talking about with their coach Mike Playchek is how well they play together, right? They complement one another. I think as a left-handed attacker, I played with John Mayer, he was a left-handed attacker, made it really easy to set him. You can set the ball high, up and down. That left-handed attack gives him opportunities to cut some angles off. And obviously two very even-keeled players. You don't see a lot of emotion come out from either one of them, and they really do complement one another, especially in some high-pressure moments.
Yeah, and it's nice that this team has stayed together. A lot of times you see new teams kind of switch around. They've been playing together for some time, and like you mentioned, Matt, it's the chemistry. The chemistry that you're always trying to find. Set point number one for Lotman and Partain. Here comes Seif. Off the block, high off Lotman's hands, and we'll take a switch.
Yeah, that's a tough ball to block for Paul Lotman. Jonah Seif just so long as we take that side switch, goes up and attacks Paul Lotman's hands. Scoring the point, goes to the side switch, but still set point here for Lotman Partain.
The side out will do it here. Set point number two. The number 3 seeded Lotman and Partain, winners of the last AVP event, the Gold Series in Atlanta. Little trickler over the net. Lotman goes for the wide set. Blocked by Seif, and then a double contact called on the set of Paul Lotman.
Yeah, I think that's a good call by our first official. That ball had a little spin on it, and I give credit to Miles Partain with the cover. But unfortunately, a point back to Cervantes and Seif, but still set point here for Lotman Partain. They've got 4 more opportunities now.
set point number 3. Rick Cervantes back with a jump serve. He tries to rip it down the line. Lotman is there, and there's the option. So difficult to defend against. Is Partain going to crush that ball, or is he going to set it? That time he sets it, puts his partner in a beautiful position, and Lotman and Partain victorious here, 21-16. Cervantes and Seif will talk it over, see if they can turn it around after the break.
Get ready for a whole new wave of White Claw. New full flavor White Claw Surf. Sensational refreshment for a taste like no other.
We all know it's a good idea to recycle. But what happens to that aluminum can or all that paper after you put it in the recycling bin? Where does it go? What does it become in its second life? See how WM is always working for a sustainable tomorrow at WM.com/stories.
It's the choices we make that define us.
Trying Trevor's coming off a tough, heartbreaking loss.
And ultimately, the enemy is within. Some people want it, some wish for it, but others make it happen.
Trying Trevor's super lethal, bringing fire and passion to the court.
How will you take charge?
Welcome back to beautiful Manhattan Beach, California, home of the 2022 AVP Manhattan Beach Open. This is the big one, the Mecca. This is where the champion gets their plaque on the pier for eternity. A very special honor. Very few. There's a look at the stats, and things relatively close.
Yeah, very even, Dane. You said it, relatively close. One thing that stands out to me is 9 digs in favor of Miles Partain and Paul Lotman, 1 additional block, and 4 service errors going against Cervantes and Seif. That's something that they might want to clean up a little bit here in set number 2.
Jonah Seif is back to serve there. He was a setter at UC Santa Barbara out of Thousand Oaks, California. He's gonna put the first point on the board. He's 6'6" tall, Jonah Seif. Another bomb of a jump serve to Partain, who handles it well, and Lotman knowing what to do. I think that's a big thing with Paul Lotman. You know, when you first come out, you're trying to learn the game, as you've mentioned, Matt, how he was such a fantastic indoor player. Now he knows the shots, when to hit over onto, when to hit the corners, and his volleyball IQ on the beach has gone through the roof.
Yeah, it certainly has, as we see his statistics right there. 7 attacks, only 3 kills. He's not getting a lot of opportunities, but you see by that attack on 2 and its effectiveness, Dane, you're absolutely right. His volleyball IQ climbing year after year. I remember when he came out onto the beach after the Olympics and deciding to kind of hang up those indoor volleyball shoes. He was playing professionally over in Europe and deciding to settle down, start a family. He's got 2 kids at home, and really making that transition out to the beach. I had the pleasure of coaching him for a few years at Long Beach State, and then actually got to play against him in the qualifiers a few years back.
Oh, there's the hustle right there. Never giving up on any pursuit as Miles Partain couldn't get a hold of that one. And it's 3-1. Cervantes and Seif are off to a great start here in set number 2. Nice serve down the middle. And the option is Doug. You don't get that many opportunities, and they will capitalize on it. Cervantes and Seif putting it away and going up 4-1.
Well, Cervantes getting a little bit of a lucky bounce that time. Partain taking a great crack at that option play, but catching the top of the net. Cervantes is able to turn it back for the point.
"15 attacks and 8 kills for Cervantes. Only 1 error, hitting .467. It's a nice percentage. Anytime you're around that 500 mark, you're getting it done. A tight play right there, won by Partain.
And again, that's just another skill of Miles Partain to go up and not be afraid of the block. Reaches high for that ball and just sneaks it right past the blocker on that really good serve from Rick Cervantes.
Paul Lotman into the net. It's a 5-2 switch for the number 30 seed, Cervantes and Seif, who apparently used that little break between set 1 and set 2 to right the ship, and playing a lot cleaner.
They're putting some good pressure on their opponents from the inline, and Paul Lotman hasn't really found his jump serve yet, which is a weapon that he needs to use here in this match.
Partain a little early, but you see how he downshifts, kind of takes his time, and then crushes that cross-court ball.
Yeah, great patience by Miles Partain to deal with that higher set. The location was good, and even watch the blocker dive into the angle. Again, super hard to block that left-handed attacker, and Miles scores the point.
Oh, what a serve. That ball was dancing by Miles Partain, ends up just out of bounds. Good eye. That's what you want with that jump float serve, is to get some action on the ball, get it moving left and right, up and down, to give the receiver some trouble.
That's just nasty. Yeah. I mean, we're in the perfect position to see that play unfold. And the short serve, you see Paul Lotman really show some good patience, waited so he could step in and give his partner a great set, and then Partain slicing that one just past the block and down the line.
And Partain, you know, he set that up with that angle hit. He just kind of duped the blocker into, all right, you better stop that angle, and that's when he goes down the line. Great patience at the net by Lotman.
That gets set up by making that serve, going down the middle, taken by Cervantes, but then Lotman waits, jumps back in, and a good left-hand swat back for the block point.
6-5, Cervantes and Seif make it 7-5 with that serve by Lotman into the bottom of the net. Jonah Seif, travel 3,143, make it 146 feet. His highest jump 20.2. Matt, what do you think the difference is when you're jumping on an indoor surface as opposed to the sand, in terms of, like, if you had a 40-inch vertical on the indoor court, is that like a 32-inch on the beach?
You know what? Up until now, we've never really been able to determine. I mean, you can always give them the eyeball test, right? If you know a player can jump really well indoors, they're obviously athletically inclined. They can come out to the beach and jump. But here in the deep sand of Manhattan Beach, if you're blessed with that 40-inch indoor vertical, maybe you're somewhere around 28, 30 inches here on the beach. It's hard to say, but fortunately we have this next level analytics that can break it down for us.
You got a 40-inch jump, right? No. Make it 9-5 right now. Cervantes and Seif, the number 30 seed, really starting to heat up in this second set. All these next level analytics are brought to you by Connexon. The sensors that the players are all wearing, tracking their distance traveled, their jump, their number of jumps, whether they're blocking, hitting. It's very sophisticated. You mentioned earlier, Matt, there's about 12 sensor nodes around the court that monitor every movement. And it's going to be a timeout called by Lotman and Partain. They're going to think about this one. Maybe put it into cruise control a little bit too early.
Perhaps, but good pressure from Seif and Cervantes from the inline. Good jump serving, getting Lotman and Partain out of system, right? And this is the stage for Cervantes and Seif that they look at the scoreboard and they're like, hey, we're up by 4 points. We're playing on stadium court. We're kind of playing with house money. Let's just keep it rolling, right? Let's not dial it down. Keep doing what we're doing. You know, scoring some points off of Lotman's passing and Partain, and just keep the pressure on the 3-seeded team here and see if they can pull off an upset.
Yeah, I like that mentality, and it definitely seems like that's what they're following. Playing with house money, they're in a position, had to play a lot of matches yesterday in the qualifier to get to this point. Know that they're up against it, playing the last champion team on the AVP tour who's well rested. It's their first day, so the odds are stacked against you. But Rick Cervantes and his partner Jonah Seif have really turned it up here in the second set. Let's see after this timeout if they can keep it going.
There's a glance at the hitting percentages from both teams, and obviously an 11% hitting efficiency is not a number you want to have if you're Lotman and Partain.
Jonah Seif back to serve. And there's a rip down the middle. A little trickle. And can Lotman get out of trouble? He can, almost jumping backwards. Great ball control by Lotman.
Now Lotman knows he's going to get a quality set from his partner. Able to turn that one right back for the point. Get the side out. See if they can get back on track here as you see Paul Lotman's stats throughout this match.
Yeah, 9 attacks and 4 kills. A few errors there, only hitting 222. Here's another opportunity to put it down, and he does.
So there's 1 point taken back by Lotman and Partain. They need to get a few more here to kind of keep their rhythm. Still a little bit of ways to go here in set number 2, though, Dane. But to go back to Cervantes and Seif, they played 3 matches yesterday, right? They won their second match in an upset over the 6-seeded team, 15-13 in the third. And then they came back and beat another higher-seeded team, the 11-seeded, in 2 games to get into the main draw. So they're not afraid to take down some higher-seeded teams.
Especially with hits like that. Rick Cervantes right there looking like he was going to go cross-body to the corner and just ripped it away and down the line. That was a very difficult play to execute, but showing his range. comes Lotman. I believe Lotman played in the 2012 games and was an alternate in the 2016 games, or? That's a tough question, huh?
I should know that, and it's one or the other, but he definitely competed in an Olympic Games indoors and was an alternate in another.
Yeah, it was 2012 that he was in the Olympics, 2016 where he was an alternate. And you mentioned, you know, kind of self-made walk-on at Long Beach, and to have that success is pretty impressive. You know, not to be a scholarship athlete originally and to go to a big program like that and really put his stamp on it.
It speaks to his work ethic. When he came in to Long Beach State, you know, as a walk-on, really had to find his diet plan, get that dialed in, work on a lot of skills. He redshirted his freshman year and then really kind of stepped into it as his career went on, and he did the same thing indoors professionally and now on the beach like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and at Long Beach in 08, he was the AVCA co-player of the year after leading Long Beach State to the semifinals of the national championship. And so it's fun to track his career as he's still getting better. 36 years of age, but playing like he's 21 out there.
Yeah, playing the best beach volleyball of his career by far as we get a glance at the statistics. But you know, it takes time. When you make the transition from indoors to the beach, when you're doing exclusively one discipline and then changing it up, you got to be able to have the patience and the work ethic to work through some ups and downs, some highs and lows. And he's done that, and here he is now has an AVP title to his resume. And just, you know, 5 years ago he was in the qualifier. So, you know, it takes time, and he's done a good job with it.
Everything pretty much even to this point. If you look at the stats for the entire match, the big difference maybe about an 80 to 100 point difference in hitting percentage. If Cervantes and Seif can turn that around and make sure they're hitting the court, not giving away any freebies or easy ones. Balls hit into the net, balls hit out of bounds. If you're a little more consistent and make Partain and Lotman earn every point, they can do their thing here in the second set.
Now, Lotman and Partain have tightened up their game a little bit. They were down by 4 early on when they called that timeout. Now just down by 1, but this is a key side-out opportunity for them.
Big serve, and here comes Lotman taking a look at the defense and going right down the line. Beautiful shot by Lotman. If you're just joining us, this is men's competition, Manhattan Beach Open Stadium Court. Dane Bland alongside Matt Prosser as we bring you all the action. This is match number 3, I believe, of 10 that we'll have here on Stadium Court. And it's just a fantastic day. A lot of people skipping work, coming down to check out Manhattan Beach on a Friday. Men's division had over 100 teams in the qualifier, so beach volleyball alive and well here in the Mecca of beach.
Yeah, and if you can't get the day off, maybe work remotely from the beach, or just tune in here on YouTube and watch Stadium Court all day long. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Dane.
Back out of the timeout here, Cervantes and Seif. They're Seif up with a huge block, 13-11.
You had to think it was just a matter of time before Jonas Seif made his presence known at the net. Not a lot of blocking by him in the first set, but they go over to Lotman, and he gets a nice stuff down for that block point.
Here comes Cervantes. Cross court, look at the dig by Cervantes. Can he put it away and capitalize? Cervantes did not like that up by Lotman. And now Seif into the net, but Cervantes is not happy about that. Kind of a paintbrush slap as Lotman dropped off the net. It kind of looked a little sticky.
I thought it was actually totally fine. Maybe we'll see it on the replay, but Lotman kind of took a swing at it as he peeled off the net.
Yeah, here it is. We just missed it right there, but definitely a net to end that one, and those are the big plays.
Lotman just missing the inline that time.
Here's Seif out of UC Santa Barbara. He was a 3-time All-American at Santa Barbara. Gets a free ball opportunity here. And goes cross body. Let that ball drop a little bit. It clips off the top of the net, but nonetheless a kill.
Yeah, a little bit lucky that time, getting some help from the net system, and Paul Lotman not quite closing that line block that time. But a point, and they add to their lead now, up by 3.
Look at the distance traveled. Being tracked by Connexon, almost identical for both teams, over 8,500 feet. Only thing I'd like to change about Jonah Seif's serve is if he would start missing a little deeper.
Yeah.
Because when you miss into the net, you don't really give the opposition even an opportunity to pass it. So
right.
Miss it just, miss it a foot long. Go for it deep, not short, as he's had a lot of errors into the net.
Well, I completely agree with you. It's always better to miss long through the inline than into the net. Just change that trajectory of your attack a tiny bit. Aim for the perimeter of the court, perhaps along the sideline, inline, and see if you can, test the opponent a little bit.
This is very interesting. Lotman and Partain being tested. And you know what? They're kind of going through that transformation of being underdogs and now becoming kind of the team to beat. Right. So, everyone's starting to chase you now that they've hit that top of the mountain by winning the Gold Series Atlanta event 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, definite target on their back. And when you're seeded 3, you know that you're going to play a team that you've probably never seen before. And that's exactly the case here. But Cervantes and Seif really having a nice second set here, as that's a good side out. A little help from the tape. Lotman get a good drop, but some frustration there as he didn't get his hands up early enough to get the dig.
There's the jump set to the outside. It looked like Seif just was going to let Miles Partain do whatever he was going to do, and Seif was tracking on the hitter that time, and still the poke shot works for Lotman.
Now he's going to set him up by doing that jump set, making him respect Paul Lotman's attack. But as this match goes on, I'd expect to see Miles go for the attack on 2 pretty soon.
Jump serve by Lotman. Here comes Cervantes. He's dug by Miles Partain, but Lotman can't get his bearings. It looks like he's a little bit frustrated with himself there. Or maybe thinking that the cameraman might have been in his way right here. This is the ball that usually Paul Lotman gets. He turns, he starts to make a move, and looks like he kind of held back there, which is probably the right move. You don't want to hurt yourself. If it's the final, maybe you're going for that one.
Yeah, I agree. It's a fine line. You don't want to hurt yourself or the cameraman, or cameraman right down there at the bottom of your screen. Didn't really get a chance to get out of the way, and Paul Lotman not able to play that ball back.
Cameraman Cliff Haig knows how to protect himself. You don't want to go into that wall.
Very stoic right there. He just, like a statue, held his position nicely.
You run into Cliff, you might be out for a year.
You don't get hurt too. We don't want to hurt you either.
Paul Lotman with a little extra words for Cliff as well. Could have been argued as an interference play for Paul Lotman. I'm talking to our first official now. I definitely would have gone to the first official and said the cameraman was in my way. But that's just, veteranship that maybe Paul Lotman doesn't quite have yet.
I don't think you get any relief, though, do you, for that one? I guess it depends who's arguing. Here's a nice dig by Partain, and tries to go a little too sharp, hitting from the left side, which he's not used to, and he lets that ball drop just a little bit, ends up into the net, and that would have been a big point right there. Instead of it being 16-17, Seif and Cervantes are up by 3, 18-15. Wow, give Seif a lot of credit right there, because he was protecting against both, not only the setter and the hitter.
Well, when you're the size of Jonas Seif, you can do both. Such a long blocker, patrolling the net, back-to-back blocks by him. Good wherewithal, and now a 4-point advantage here late in set number 2 for Cervantes and Seif.
Jonas Seif, his best AVP finish is a 29th last year in 2021 here at Manhattan Beach, and so trying to improve upon that, and a win here versus the number 3 seed would be nothing less than spectacular, but they got to win this second set to force a third.
Now there you see Miles Partain going with that option play, and one thing from Cervantes and Seif is they haven't let any pressure off of Lotman and Partain, especially from the inline, forcing them to side out and building up on that advantage.
Lotman and Partain going to have to manufacture some points here in this second set as time is running out. Tough serve by Lotman. He's going to have an opportunity to score here, and there is Partain going on the second contact, so make it 17, serving 19, and looks like Cervantes and Seif have seen enough. They want to use their timeout. Teams are allotted 1 timeout per set. We also have a technical timeout at the culmination of 21 points, and so you don't get to save those timeouts, so you might as well use it.
No carryovers.
Yeah, I think that's a good timeout by them.
I do too. I agree with you, Dan. I think it's a great timeout. Gives them a chance to catch their breath. You know, they still have a 2-point advantage and just 1 side out away from getting to set points. So this is a great timeout by them. Get a drink, catch their breath, get a little strategy, and determine how they're going to handle Miles Partain's option plays, but most importantly, how they're going to side out right now.
Big question is, can they finish? There's so much pressure playing on a stadium court. You know, it's one thing to start a match, it's another at the end when things get a little tighter. You know that Lotman and Partain are going to put a little more pressure on them. It's important that they kind of just stay in their same frame of mind of just let's continue doing what we do.
Yeah, there's no need to change anything for Cervantes and Seif at this point, right? The pressure's not on them. They got a 2-point advantage. They're siding out for set point. They just got to get 1 good solid side out, and they're right there. Meanwhile, all the pressure's over on Lotman and Partain. They don't want to have to play any extra volleyball. You know, they want to save their energy, but they got to find some magic right now late in set number 2.
This ball needs to be in for Lotman. Tough and in. He gets a trickler. Here comes Cervantes. Cut shot is good right there. So great focus by Cervantes.
Yeah, we haven't really given Cervantes a lot of credit. He is a cagey, experienced player, and that shows right there. He grew up in Santa Barbara playing on East Beach. Nice pass, and then an even better cut shot past the block and right inside the sideline.
A scrappy player. Really kind of cagey, has a lot of shots, got power, got a quick arm. Can they finish it out here? Set point, 20-17 for Seif and Cervantes. Bomb of the serve, and it's overpass, and Seif sets him up and crushes it down. Talk about doing everything with a bomb of a serve, resulting in an overpass, and then the put away. So that timeout looking even better now.
That was a huge serve from Jonas Seif. Results in the overpass and a quick kill. Forces a set 3 here on Stadium.
Well, you called it, Matt Prosser. It's putting the pressure on and playing the way that you played from the beginning. So we are all tied up here, 1 set apiece. Set number 3 coming up next.
I'm Carrie Walsh Jennings. I've played with lots of injuries and sore muscles. KT Tape has helped me push past the pain. Today, clinical studies prove what I've always known, that using KT Tape before, during, and after workouts can reduce muscle soreness. Whether it's the Olympics or the local gym, pain is pain.
Tape up with KT Tape, the #1 kinesiology tape. Use it for muscle soreness and many common injuries. KT Tape, train longer, finish stronger.
KT Tape works for me, it'll work for you.
Welcome back to Stadium Court as we take a look at the stats after 2 sets. What do you see there, Prosser?
4 blocks to 2 in favor of Jonas Seif at the net. Getting some much-needed block points as this match has progressed. Everything else relatively equal, although 7 hitting errors in favor of Lotman and Partain. That's not the category that you want to be leading in, Dane, as we're going into a 3rd set tiebreaker here on Stadium Court.
Just an incredible setup here at Manhattan Beach. As always, such a special place to play on Stadium Court, a dream of every player, and of course a dream to win this coveted event. And always a huge qualifier to get into the main draw to fulfill those dreams. Cervantes and Seif, after losing 21-16, rebounded in set number 2, 21-17. Dane Bland alongside Matt Prosser. 3rd set here. Number 3 team versus the number 30 squad of Lotman and Partain, who are also the defending champs from 2 weeks ago in Atlanta, winning the first Gold Series event. So possible upset brewing.
Possible. Lotman and Partain really have to up their service game. They've got to put some pressure from the inline on Cervantes and Seif, much as Jonas Seif has done as this match has gone on.
Oh, wow. Little ping pong back and forth. That ball almost landing for a point from Seif.
You heard Paul Lotman give his partner a great call. The communication so important, especially now in set 3. Cervantes with a terrific dig there to keep it alive, but Lotman calling that ball out, and Miles Partain decided not to play it.
Lotman to Seif. That's pass a little tight to the net. It's going to give an opportunity. But then right back at you. Lotman passes a free ball opportunity into the bottom of the net. Wow.
Lotman going with that sort of tomahawk pass. Goes too tight, clips the bottom of the tape. Partain can't handle it, and it's a point for Cervantes and Seif.
Swing. 2-2, 1 in the switch.
2-all here in set number 3. So much parity on the tour this year. 5 different champions on the men's side and the women's side. The only 2-time winner this year would be Phil Dahlhauser. No team has won multiple events, but Phil has with 2 different partners. Early on in Austin.
Yeah, that's what Phil does. He wins a lot. But
Andy Benish's first win, that was in Austin, and then playing with Casey Patterson, winning in New Orleans. But I think this week we're going to have our repeat winner. I'm going to make a prediction. I don't think it's going out too far on a limb.
We'll know in about just under 72 hours if your prediction will hold up.
And Chowder is the official call.
I don't know if the ref got sold on that, but a very knowledgeable crowd, of course, as always here in Manhattan Beach. And when they see a bad set, they let it be known. And there was a lot of gas in the stands that may have influenced that referee call.
Yeah, some very knowledgeable fans here in Manhattan Beach, obviously, as we'll get a good replay of that double contact. Hard to tell. The release was pretty fast, but clearly something that our first official didn't like about it.
that ball hit out of bounds. We're in the third set here, and also the Taylors, Taylor Crabb and Taylor Sander, the 5th seed, going up against the 28th seed of Kevin Coyle and Alex Uckelberg. That is going 3 sets as well.
We talked about it earlier, the parity on the AVP Tour, and just some of these teams that come out of the qualifier got nothing to lose and looking to pull off some upsets on Friday morning. Like testing these more experienced, higher seeded players.
There are really no easy matches out here. If you make it to the main draw, I mean, it's on.
Yeah, there really is not an easy match ever on the AVP Tour here, especially for the teams coming through the qualifier. And as we're seeing right now, if you're the 3 seed and you think you're going to have a bit of a walkover, well, you can't overlook anybody on the other side of the net. You just got to come out and play your best.
Cervantes, a bit of an errant pass, and it could be costly. Oh, he's going to get a second opportunity. And Lotman with the block right there. Cervantes really everywhere, giving himself a lot of opportunities to score.
I think Cervantes has done his homework on where he's going to play defense against Lotman and Partain's option play. Not really breaking to the sideline, sitting in the middle of the court. But this time it's Lotman showing his patience up at the net. Good penetration from Paul, and gets that block point.
5-all here in the third. Miles Partman with a jump float, deep corner to Cervantes. There's another sketchy set by Seif, no call, and he gets a roll shot. Lotman is not pleased at all. He's going to take his glasses off and have a little conversation with the head ref.
I thought that one was a little slippery as well, especially considering his body position as we see on the replay. And you never want to see an official influence a match, especially not in the third set. You want to let the players get after it and really determine the winner and the outcome. But Paul Lotman has a valid point right there, getting a little extra communication to our first official.
Yeah, as a player, I always thought once that referee set that standard, he needed to keep that standard and stay consistent. Whether that was a loose standard or a tight standard, just stick with it. You have a problem as a player on the court when you're getting all sorts of different calls. You're letting a loose one go here, you're calling a tight one the next time, and Seif up for a block in 7-5. And just when you think Partain and Lotman are going to turn things around here, it's Seif and Cervantes scoring yet another one.
Well, a great block right there by Jonas Seif. Gets his arms over and then just holds the position. We'll see on the replay here his left hand getting that block. Nicely placed and perfectly timed.
What a pass by Lotman, being very careful not to pass that one over the net. You gotta have to absorb that ball. It's coming at such a high velocity.
It's almost like passing an attack from the inline of Jonas Seif. And fortunately for Paul Lotman, he's got Miles Partain, who's able to get the option attack down for the point.
Six serving 7. Lotman and Partain trailing. There's a beautiful set and a great roll shot. They're running kind of some misdirection there. The pass is to the right. They go with a back set, and it doesn't seem like Lotman and Partain are comfortable in their defensive set.
Cervantes really enjoys that back set and then goes with that sharp cut shot. Paul Lotman might want to consider dropping off the net. I know it's a lot easier said than done, but try to play some games right back to the offensive player.
Cervantes wants it tight, and that's why he just had a sense that there would be no block up there, and then he unleashes cross court at Partain.
That's a big point right there by Cervantes and Seif. Good communication. Here's a great dig, and then Rick talking to his partner, telling him to be aggressive, get that set all the way up to the net. It does, and it pays off for Cervantes and Seif.
Just so important in transition to take those chances to put the ball up at the net. That's what made that play. Seif really rolling the dice and putting that ball close to the net, resulting in the point. And the body language of Lotman and Partain right now, a little frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, and it's understandable. I mean, these guys have really been pushing them. It's, you know, halfway through set number 3. They're down by 3 points. They've got their work cut out for them, and they're having a hard time trying to slow down, you know, Cervantes and Seif. And we were just talking about that aggressive set in transition from Jonas Seif to get his kind of, you know, shorter partner a good look up at the net. Paul Lotman dropped a little too early, didn't wait to see where that set developed. And Cervantes able to score the point and add to their lead, but sort of an age-old sort of debate, Dane, is how aggressive do you be on that transition set, right? I always think it's better to be, it's almost better to overset it and then dial it back than to set the ball too far off the net and give the advantage back to the other team.
Yeah, especially if your partner's physical and can get up there and joust or hit. You want to give them an opportunity. And no one's great at hitting 10 feet off the net.
Right.
You're much better in a position up there to roll the dice, but sometimes it takes a while to learn that.
And it's also important to realize who's blocking up at the net as well. That determines how aggressive you can be. And for Rick Cervantes, he told his partner to be aggressive, so good communication on their side to score that point.
So as we come out of the timeout, Rick Cervantes serving with a 9-6 lead. Opts to go to Partain. Partain tries a sharp one and hits the top of the net, but still successful for the kill.
And Cervantes was right there that probably could have gotten that dig. A nice move by Seif to influence the attack to go angle, but Partain scores the point. Watch Seif dive back to the line. Cervantes is there. Thought he was going to get that one.
Short ball, effective by Partain. And there's Lotman with the dig. And he goes down the line, but that ball not even close, about 2.5 feet long.
That's a big point against Paul Lotman. He got a nice dig off of that peel, but not able to turn it. Goes for the high line shot, and it's another hitting error for Paul Lotman.
Upset brewing here. Number 3 versus number 30. Jonas Seif 5 points away from advancing to the next round. There's a rip of a serve that is just missing that X on the corner.
And for Seif, he can continue to be aggressive. He builds up this lead. We saw the stat: 5 blocks, 3 aces. Trying for another one there, but just misses long like we were talking about earlier.
Been really impressed with the shots of Seif and Cervantes, and the decision making has been really on point.
Yeah, the vision has been very good as well. You can tell they're very calm. They're not overexerting themselves, staying patient and siding out at a good, efficient clip.
Switch 11-9.
11-9 the score. Cervantes and Seif have been in the lead most of this third set. There's a beautiful dish to the outside by Miles Partain. And this is going to come down to it. You know, this is exciting. It's what you dream of if you're a team, if you're any team, but a team coming out of the qualifier who had such an excruciating day yesterday.
Yeah.
And you come out here, you're facing AVP champions, newly crowned a week ago, in Miles Partain and Paul Lotman, and you have them on the ropes right now, up by 2.
Certainly on the ropes. They've got to do something here to put some pressure back on Seif and Cervantes. And right there, that's a huge side out, and the body language from Lotman and Partain not looking good for them on this side.
Now you can see just the kind of the frustration. They're doing some of the things that have translated into points, but right now against this team, it's not working.
Yeah, the matchups has just been in favor of Cervantes and Seif, and Lotman and Partain haven't really been able to find their groove on the offensive side, but that's because of the service pressure from this player here.
Another big serve. Confusion by Lotman, and that's going, and Seif gives himself up. He calls it again. I said the umpire had it as well, but Seif, the sportsman that he is, has called a few of his touches right away.
Yeah, and that's good to see. Obviously, we touched on it earlier, but you know, no challenge system or anything here on stadium court, unfortunately, but touch off the block was indicated by our down ref. We'll see it here on the replay. A little bit late on that move, but yeah, Lotman struggling with that set. Got to find some magic now to pull within, you know, these 2-point deficit here in set number 3.
That ball clipping the top of the net made that a kill. If it was hit clean, Lotman looked like he was ready for it.
Yeah.
And
that's just been sort of the tail of the tape this whole match, right? Or maybe not so much in the first set, but Cervantes and Seif really getting all the breaks in this match to build the lead, and then they maintain it by getting plays like that. See attack from way off the net. Lotman in the right spot, but the ball flight just changing trajectory and catching Lotman off guard.
13-10, Cervantes. On 2 is Lotman, and he gets it to hit the sand, so make it 11-13 here, third set.
I'd like to see Partain maybe go all the way cross court over to Cervantes' line. He's setting up right in the middle of the court on serve reception, and perhaps something short over to Cervantes' line. We'll see here from Miles.
It's a huge point, huge side out opportunity for Cervantes and Seif. They can pull it off. They will move to 14, and not just yet. Lotman disciplined on that block.
Very disciplined, and that was a play that Cervantes did earlier that got the ball past Lotman, but that time Paul going up high and closing off that chop shot from Cervantes to get the block point.
That's what a great blocker does. Takes notes throughout the match and then starts to execute them late. As Lotman got that last block, can he do it again? Cervantes, instead of challenging, goes for the nice roll shot, and it is the right decision.
Yeah, great vision there from Rick Cervantes to go back to the line, staying in front of his partner that time and scoring the point.
Match point for Cervantes and Seif, the number 30 seed, trying to upset the number 3 seed. Seif out of the middle with a jump serve. It's tough, but Partain handles it. Sets a little wide and looks like that ball's out. There's going to be no touch. And the number 30 seed, Cervantes and Seif, upset the number 3 seed and last week's champion in Atlanta, Miles Partain and Paul Lotman. And they did it with some cagey shots, some discipline, and they stayed consistent. They'll move on to play Dietrich and Smith next, so that's the 19th seed. So wow, it's a good place to be for Cervantes and Seif.
Back-to-back upsets there, Dane. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but 2 upsets in the round, putting some lower-seeded teams in the winner's bracket here in Manhattan Beach.
Well, just a dream come true. A long day yesterday of qualifying for Cervantes and Seif, and now they come out in the main draw and they take down the number 3 seeded team, and they got to be feeling good about themselves. I was impressed.
Just an all-around well-played match. Great defense you see there from Rick Cervantes all match long, getting Partain and Lotman kind of on their heels and really just putting up a good challenge and staying in it the whole time, building a lead and then not giving up any points to take the victory here in a huge upset on stadium court here.
Yeah, I think the fact, that they had that cushion, 2 to 3 point lead usually. So if they made an error, they were able to get back up and recover from it. They were not giving up bunches of points. They were consistent throughout. They put pressure on Miles and Paul Lotman, and there it is in the end. That ball ends up flying just out of bounds. So Cervantes and Seif, the 30th seed, take out the number 3 seed as we take a look at the stats.
Pretty even match all the way around, but hitting percentages in favor of Cervantes and Seif. 3 aces, that was even a few more service errors, but digs were even, hitting errors and hitting percentage, the tail of the tape there in favor of Cervantes and Seif.
Love it. Number 30, Cervantes and Seif, all smiles as they advance to round number 2.